Chinese jets cross the Taiwan Strait. U.S. Navy ships move closer to Taiwan. These headlines, they flash across TV screens in places like New York, London, and Tokyo. Over in Taipei, sirens start blaring as people check their phones for updates. School children are practicing emergency drills, and fighter jets are roaring overhead. The whole city just feels tense. Honestly, the world is holding its breath. On the ground, Taiwan's leaders are gathering in a secure government room. The president stares at maps, listening carefully as defense officials report new satellite images. Chinese ships are moving even closer. The U.S. Pacific Fleet just announced it is on high alert. Outside, reporters are hearing rumors of a possible attack. This isn't just a movie or some wild scenario. These scenes are actually based on real military exercises and warnings from recent years. In 2023 and 2024, China's military sent jets and ships near Taiwan almost every single week. The United States responded with its own warnings and shows of force. Both sides know that any spark could start a war. So why is the world so worried about Taiwan? Why are military leaders in Beijing and Washington both warning that a real conflict could happen soon? Well, the answer starts with history, but it affects everyone alive today. Admiral Philip Davidson, a top U.S. commander, warned Congress back in 2021, saying China could invade Taiwan within 6 years. In 2023, his successor, Admiral John Aquilino, said the risk was actually growing every day. U.S. intelligence leaders echoed these fears in 2024, saying China's President Xi Jinping ordered his military to be ready to take Taiwan by force by 2027. Chinese leaders have made their own warnings too. President Xi Jinping calls Taiwan's unification with China a historic mission. China's generals are showing off new missiles and ships, saying they will crush any move toward Taiwan's independence. So why do military leaders talk so much about war? Some experts say it's just to scare their enemies. Others think it's a real sign of danger. Both the US and China keep moving their forces closer to Taiwan, hoping to signal strength and avoid mistakes. But there's always a risk of misunderstanding. One wrong move, a jet shot down, a ship hit by accident, could actually start a real fight. Both sides are preparing for the worst, even as they hope for peace. The world is watching, knowing that war in Taiwan could pull in many countries, not just China and the US. To understand today's crisis, we really need to look back to 1949. That year, China's civil war ended. The Communist Party, led by Mao Zedong, won control of mainland China. The old government, called the Republic of China, or ROC, fled to the island of Taiwan. Since then, two governments have claimed to be the real China. For decades, both sides dreamed of retaking the other. Mainland China threatened to invade Taiwan, while Taiwan's leaders hoped to one day return to the mainland. But as the years passed, their paths grew apart. Taiwan changed the most. It went from a military dictatorship to a vibrant democracy. People there began voting in free elections. A new local identity started to emerge. Many in Taiwan no longer felt Chinese. They felt Taiwanese. Meanwhile, China has never given up its claim. Its leaders say Taiwan is a breakaway province. The world has watched as this old feud becomes the world's most dangerous flashpoint. Ask China's leaders about Taiwan, and they'll say there is only one China. In their view, Taiwan is part of China's family, temporarily separated, but never truly independent. The US and most countries agree, at least officially. This is called the One China policy. But the story is actually more complicated. The US doesn't recognize Taiwan as its own country. Yet, America still sells weapons to Taiwan and promises to help it defend itself. Some American leaders openly support Taiwan's democracy. For people in Taiwan, the One China policy just feels unfair. Most want to keep things as they are, neither declaring full independence nor joining China. Polls show that a growing number feel Taiwanese, not Chinese. They want peace, but they also want self-rule. China sees any move toward independence as a red line. Its leaders threaten war if Taiwan changes its official status. The world's biggest powers are stuck trying to keep the peace, while Taiwan lives right in the middle of this dangerous game. Taiwan is a small island, but it has powerful ways to defend itself. First, Taiwan's democracy is its strength. Every 4 years, millions vote in free elections, and leaders change peacefully. This really shows the world how different Taiwan is from China's one-party rule. Second, Taiwan uses smart diplomacy. it keeps close friendships with key countries, even if only a few officially recognize it. Taiwan sends aid to disaster zones and helps with medicine and technology. It builds quiet, deep ties with countries like Japan, the United States, and some in Europe. Third, Taiwan's national identity is growing stronger. Young people feel proud to be Taiwanese. They teach the local language in schools and cultural festivals, and art celebrate what makes Taiwan unique. A strong sense of identity helps people stay united if there is a crisis. Finally, Taiwan trains its military and civilians for the worst. The government runs regular drills, and citizens learn first aid, how to shelter in place, and how to keep the country running if attacked. Taiwan hopes it can make any invasion just too costly for China to succeed. Taiwan is famous for more than just politics. It's actually the heart of the world's microchip industry. Microchips are these tiny pieces of technology that power, well, everything: phones, cars, computers, and even missiles. Taiwan's companies make over 60% of all chips, and nearly 90% of the most advanced ones. The leader here is TSMC, or Taiwan Semiconductor Manufacturing Company. TSMC is the only company that can make the world's fastest, smallest chips. Apple, Nvidia, and even the US military all depend on TSMC for their products. So, why does this matter? If Taiwan's chip factories stop, the world would face a huge crisis. Car factories in Detroit would close. Phone and computer prices would jump. Even national security would be at risk. Taiwan knows its chip industry is a major bargaining chip. By staying essential to the world economy, Taiwan hopes that other countries will defend it, or at least stop China from attacking. Think about the devices you use every day: your smartphone, your laptop, your car's computer system. All these rely on microchips, and most likely, the chips came from Taiwan. Apple's iPhone and MacBook computers use chips made by TSMC. Tesla's cars, famous for their smart technology, also depend on chips from Taiwan. Even gaming consoles like Sony's PlayStation and Microsoft's Xbox need these chips. If TSMC or other Taiwanese factories stop, millions of products would vanish from stores. In 2021, a chip shortage caused car prices to rise and factory lines to pause. Imagine if Taiwan's whole industry stopped because of war. And it's not just tech companies. Hospitals rely on chips for equipment. Airlines use them for navigation and safety. Even power plants and water systems have smart chips inside to keep them running. This really shows why Taiwan is more than just a political issue. Its factories keep modern life running everywhere. From New York to Nairobi, a crisis in Taiwan would touch every part of the globe. If China invaded Taiwan, the shockwaves would be felt worldwide. First, there would be a military crisis. The US and its allies might join the fight. Trade routes in the Pacific would be blocked. Oil prices would soar. Stock markets would crash. Next, the world's supply of microchips would stop overnight. Factories everywhere would close. Cars, computers, and phones would become much more expensive and hard to find. Hospitals could run short of life-saving equipment. Millions of jobs would be at risk. A war in Taiwan could also spark new conflicts. Other countries might use the chaos to settle old scores. The global economy could plunge into a deep recession. People everywhere would feel the pain. This is why so many world leaders, from President Biden to Japan's Prime Minister, warn against any attack on Taiwan. The risks are just way too high. Peace is the only real option. Taiwan's leaders know they face huge risks. That's why they have a three-part plan to stop an invasion. First, Taiwan uses smart diplomacy. It builds strong ties with the US, Japan, and Europe. It helps other countries in need, creating goodwill that pays off in tough times. Second, Taiwan protects its place in the global economy. By staying the world's microchip leader, it makes itself too important to lose. Countries everywhere have a reason to keep Taiwan safe and stable. Third, Taiwan keeps close alliances with powerful friends. The US sends weapons and holds joint military exercises. Japan and other neighbors warn China not to use force. This web of alliances makes China think twice before attacking. Taiwan's strategy is clear: use diplomacy, economic power, and big allies to stay strong. Its leaders hope that by working smart, they can keep the peace and protect not just their island, but the whole world's future.